Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
So, welcome to the show. Today's Monday, and this is going out live on Mintwave Radio. If you've already got the Alexa skill, you can just ask her. Otherwise, go to the website above, mintwave-radio.com. You can download the Alexa skill if you've got one. Or if this is via podcast, you can also download the app for Apple or Android for Podbean. See our full weekly schedule and feel free to subscribe to any that take your fancy. Now, today's show is episode 181. Now, that's going to be a good number. Wow. And today we have Aldreama Harper, and she is a productivity strategist and declutter coach. Oh, I think we all need one of those in our lives. We're going to be talking about the impacts of clutter in life and business, and I can quite believe that. I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and I'm just helping coaches and therapists get their message heard to the people who need to hear it. So, certified organizational specialist. I never knew there was a thing. She's a decluttering coach and creator of the Declutter with Dream Challenge. Aldreama helps female entrepreneurs fulfill their dream of clarity, hope, peace, and sustainability in life and business. Through decluttering sessions and monthly events, she'll teach that the joy experience from being organized comes from the journey of decluttering. Yes, we know it to be true. I think most people can get the link. When everything's clear, we do have this feeling of calm, right? So welcome to the show, Aldreama.
Thank you so much, Karen. We're finally here, right? After several tries.
I know, we've given it a go, but we got you here. We got you here.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So first of all, before we talk about that, but how did he get here? If you'd like to share with the listeners a little bit more about your personal backstory and how you came to be doing what you're currently doing.
Well, sure. One of the things that I always share with people about myself in terms of my journey is that I consider myself an organized pack rat. And so, meaning I'm very organized, but I like to hold on to stuff and just keep it in nice little containers and labels, but it's stuff. And so when I realized that that could be a problem, it started me on the journey of thinking more in terms of decluttering being one of the most significant parts of the journey. And it's the part that most people don't like, including myself. And so because decluttering, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. It's a challenge for people. There are a lot of emotions that come about. People hold on to things because of sentimental reasons, memories. People like to hold on to stuff. And so that's typically the type of person I like to work with because I can identify with it. And so 20 years ago, I wasn't at that place. So I was a professional organizer, still am a professional organizer, where I would go out to people's homes and their offices, help them to get organized. But I would sometimes overlook the fact that they really needed to declutter first. And that was really like a revelation for me. And when I started doing the challenges, it was like, yeah, that's a really significant part of the process. And I encourage my clients to be very diligent about decluttering because you'll end up an organized pack rat, which is not helpful.
I can see that, and all of a sudden I'm looking around and thinking, what are those bundle of wires actually that I know that are in that drawer, and that we hold on to things thinking we might need it.
Use it. Yeah,
we might use it. Do you know what? I've got a garage. I've lived here in this flat. Oh, it's got to be over 4 years now. So actually, nothing in that garage is of any use. Because if I haven't needed it up till now, it doesn't deserve to be there, does it? It needs
Exactly.
to go. It needs
Yeah.
to go. So what is going on? So there's obviously a deeper subconscious thing going on there. Why do many of us tend to hold on to more than we should?
So there are so many reasons that this can happen. Sometimes it's our upbringing, our experiences. Sometimes some of us have experienced a time or a season in our lives where we've had significant loss. I know that I've spoken with one of my clients and who went through a loss, lives in New Orleans. And when Hurricane Katrina devastated the area, there was a significant loss. And so now they tend to hold on to stuff because they don't want to lose
Ah,
anything. So there's so many different reasons. There are sometimes how we were raised. We may have been raised in an environment where perhaps our parents or our upbringing, we saw a lot of clutter. So there's so many things that can impact our tendency to want to hold on to stuff. For me personally, I've always been organized, but I just like to hold on to stuff because I think I'm going to use it later. I think I may want to repurpose it because I'm always thinking about how I can repurpose things. And sometimes I'll say, yeah, I'm going to use that. I can repurpose it into this or whatever. And then that day never comes. So now it's clutter. Yeah. So
yeah.
there are so many reasons, so many
So
things that
how do
impact.
you differentiate from, oh, it might come useful, or really, is it?
Yeah.
Get rid.
Asking yourself a lot of hard questions.
Ah,
Okay, just what you just said. Really? Are you really going to do that? Like, when are you going to find time in your busy life to do that or work on that or create that? And being realistic with those answers and where you are. And so that really helps me to think about, should I really hold on to this? Or is this useful? Is this serving any purpose in my life right now? And so those types of questions and being very realistic about the answers, because sometimes we can trick ourselves. Yeah, I'm definitely going to hold on to that because I know next year I'll be working on certain things and yeah, I'll have time to do that. So we fool ourselves into thinking, yeah, I think I'm going to work on it. And then again, that time comes and it's like, I said I was going to do it, but life happened. This happened. So yeah, so asking yourself those hard, challenging questions really
yeah.
helps. Yeah.
And I suppose if I'm tidying up, I think, oh, what's that? Oh, that just goes in that drawer. That drawer
Yes.
just fills up with a load of absolute rubbish.
Yes.
It's funny how easy you can build on that. I've never been that way purely because I traveled around so much when I was younger. We've moved around so much. So you learn to declutter quite a lot because it's like, right, time for a clear out. What are we taking with us?
Yeah.
And actually, really, 4 years in one place is actually quite long for me. And then, of course, then you get a bit complacent. And yeah, I'm just looking around thinking, actually, yes, I could probably do with I've got I'm just going to see some paintings, some over in the corner there that have come off the wall. And I'm thinking they're never going to go up again.
Yeah.
Why are they still there? Why are they there?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, when as you were saying that, about moving and everything, that was the other thing that was very impact. We have moved a lot. My husband and I have moved a lot as well. And so I remember one time we were moving and being an organized pack rat, as I said, I got the call from the movers, right? And they were like, okay, so, Miss Harper, how many boxes do you have? And at the time we had more than 100 boxes. Just two people, just me and my husband. We don't have any children. We don't have 100 boxes. And I thought to myself, that's a lot of boxes. What's in this stuff?
Could
And
set up
that
a
was
shop.
like, yeah, and that was like a wake up call. And so from then, my husband even said, as we were moving, he was like, if it doesn't fit in this truck, it's not going. And that was several years ago, but those are just some of the things that really helped me to realize that you got some issues here. It's
As,
time to make a change.
as we all have, and I'm sure that many of us, is it something, do you see like with your clients that once they go through this and they do it, is that it, or can they sneak back into old habits? How does it work?
So it does happen sometimes, particularly if you're not empowered with a way to maintain your clutter-free environment. And so that's one of the things that I make sure that they understand, that it's actually going to require a commitment from you to maintain that clutter-free life. And even when I say clutter-free life, a lot of people may think of minimalist. I don't necessarily mean being a minimalist, but having things in your life that serve you on a regular basis and being able to maintain that when you start to see clutter piling up or areas in your life where you start to feel overwhelmed, it's always best to just check, do like a self check. And I always encourage my clients and let them know that the clutter that you see is normally a representation of something that's going on inside. And so when I start to see things clutter up in my life, it may be because I'm doing too much, right? I'm doing things, my boundaries, I'm having a lack of boundaries experience right now. And so I just really have to think about what's really going on in my life. There's mental clutter, emotional clutter. There's all types of clutter that you have to be aware of. So when I am talking with clients, I make sure that they are committed to examining all of the areas as much as possible that could be impacting their lives. Moves, divorces, life transitions, all of these things can impact your life when it comes to clutter. And just anything else, it impacts your finances, it impacts a lot of other areas of your life. So it's always best to just examine, be committed to the process, and make sure that you're incorporating ways that you can maintain what you're experiencing now as being clutter free. Hopefully that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah. So it's a bit similar to feng shui, is it? It's sort of,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Some of it, I personally don't teach feng shui because, not because it doesn't work, but because everybody has their own way of seeing what organization
yeah.
looks like for them.
Yeah, sure.
But I like the concept. I've looked at it a couple of times, and I was like, I'm not going to maintain that.
Yeah,
And so,
I don't know enough about. We did have a guest on a while ago actually that spoke. It was quite fascinating. But yeah, or sometimes it's again, sometimes when you take on something like that, it's almost, again, you're overwhelming yourself
yeah,
because there's too much. But I
yeah,
can get that, yes. I can look around and I think, oh, it's nice and clear today.
yeah, yeah.
When things are in a mess, it is. It how does it actually really affect our lives? We semi know that it makes us feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes seeing piles of stuff. But how much does it affect our life and business?
So that's a great question. And I believe it impacts us even more than we can imagine. So one of my clients had gone through my 5-day challenge several months ago. And as a result of going through that, she was able to launch her business because she had more clarity about what she wanted to do. So I like to tell people that when you are experiencing, or the impact of clutter not only impacts you mentally, but financially, because had she not launched her business, because she got clear on what she wanted to do as far as a business, she was losing money. And so it impacts you in terms of business and personally. And so a lot of people may not equate that to financial or your business life, because when you think about it, when you're not clear, you have those moments when your ideas don't really come to can't say it, fruition.
Fruition.
Yeah, because and that's what's costing you money. You may have $1 million idea in your head, but because you're overwhelmed with clutter, and you're sitting and your surroundings and your environment is cluttered, it impacts your ability to think, and so therefore you're losing money. It could be millions of dollars. So she is one of my clients that I'm so excited about. That was the result of her going through the challenge, because she's launched a business. She's now making money from her business. She's got clients, whereas before that would never have happened, but she has had a lot of clarity around it.
So what is really going on there? What's going on? There's something going on that we can't see, can't touch, can't. There's something going on there, isn't it? It's affecting our mind subconsciously. So what's
Absolutely.
happening?
Yeah. So I believe that, again, when you are surrounded by clutter or things that's not serving you, because that's what I define clutter as, things that you have in your life, and that could be people. Some people need to declutter the people that they are surrounded. So I also like to external clutter. I also like to define it as visual noise. So it's particularly when we're working from home. We have a lot of things in our life. You know what? I need to go ahead and do that laundry, or and that's not necessarily clutter, but if you surround yourself and you're surrounded with a lot of stuff, it's actually like visual noise where you're constantly hearing that. And so it causes to me, and now let me say this before I even go there. I need to make sure that people understand this disclaimer. I am not a licensed counselor or behavioral therapist or anything of that kind, but I understand the impacts of clutter and how it can just clog up the pipeline, the mental pipeline. And it's, as I was saying, it's like it's just constantly talking to you and distracting you, because you may start doing something, but then you may see something that needs to be done. And you think, oh, you know what? Let me just stop and do this. Let me go and fold up those clothes. Let me go ahead and finish this laundry or what have you. So it's like you never can gain your momentum because you're starting, stopping. So
Yeah.
it's just impacting your productivity in that way. And it's hard to focus.
Yes. Like you just said, do you think this affects people more when they are working from home? I'm sure an office can get just as cluttered, can't it?
Yeah, yeah. But since I've been working with people who primarily work from home, and particularly since COVID and all of that, I have found the impact has been more significant. More have been impacted by their home life and trying to work from home than going into an office, because you go into an office 9 to 5, you can, some things you can just ignore and things like that, but you have more control when it comes to your own space and your own environment, and keeping and maintaining the type of environment that allows you to be more conducive for creativity, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I suppose you get things on your mind because it's all that I should do that. I really should do that. And it's all that is taking up space.
Space.
Whereas, yeah, when
Yeah.
there's clarity, then
Yeah.
when it's gone, then you can
Yeah.
focus on the task in hand. So I suppose the clutter becomes distractions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does. And I've worked in corporate America before. So, but when I did, I had a cubicle. So I maintained my little cubicle area. I liked it very organized and things like that. And but when you're at home, it's like everything is going on. Cooking is going on, family, everything is going on. And so being able to manage those type of things, because it's like I said, the visual noise is speaking to you constantly. And I just think that it again, particularly since COVID and a lot of people have gone home to working from home, I just think that I've seen how it's been a higher rate of impact on people. If that makes, yeah.
So have you always been organized, and how did you get into that? Were you all, how did you get into that? Were you
Yeah.
totally an organized kid, or what happened there?
Yeah, I was always organized, but I did struggle, like I said, with clutter. But I always liked the feeling. So I might have been just addicted to the feeling once I organized something, or maybe sometimes I would purchase something and I would organize it, and it's, oh yeah, that feels good. So I really like that feeling. And I was always organized, but I didn't know, first of all, I didn't realize that could be a business. But I can say that I've always been organized, because certain things just really, when I see it, it's like, let's not do it this way. This should be in a more organized fashion. And then the other thing is, I can't stand having to look for stuff. I don't like the time that it takes to look for stuff. And in my mind, I'm always thinking, okay, there has to be a way to be able to find this quickly. So I get really frustrated when it comes to that. So I guess in a sense, I've always been organized. I just had the challenge of just holding on to stuff. Yeah.
So what do you suggest for people to do to even stay on top of it? You say you got to check in every few months or every year. How does it work?
Yeah. Checking, making sure, first of all, if it's a client that I'm working with, we do have check ins. And as a matter of fact, one of my clients, she, I organized her home office. And so that was last year. And so she had not checked in with me. And so when I called her, I said, hey, we haven't talked in a year. What's going on? She's, oh my gosh, things are a mess. And she just brought me up to speed in terms of what was going on. There had been some challenges that she had faced during that time. And so we've rescheduled another session so that we can get things back in order. And but checking in is definitely a way to just, because it's just like anything that impacts, your life. Just the client that I was just talking about, emotions, things that impact you emotionally is going to affect how you are navigating life. And so check-ins are good. Having some kind of, one of the things that when people go through the decluttering challenge is I suggest that they have a clutter buddy, right? And so that's someone, maybe it's not me, but someone that they can hold themselves accountable with and do sessions on their own and things like that. So there's a lot of ways that you can implement and make sure that you don't fall back into that trap if you have that tendency. Now, some people, just when they get there or they think they've gotten there or what have you, they're all set. They continue on and they do things because they do things to maintain it, because they don't ever want to reach that place again, because they don't want to go through that whole emotional roller coaster or what have you. And that has happened where I've clients have experienced a huge emotional place, because sometimes it brings up trauma. I had a client that said, because that's the other thing that I have them to do. I make sure that they take pictures of the before and after, not just for me, but for themselves. Because when they do that, they see what someone else would potentially see if they walked into your space. And so I make sure you're doing this on a regular basis. We'll take pictures, because we can become clutter blind and not even see it because we're in it. right? And so yeah, so just doing just some little things that kind of help them to maintain this peace and clarity that they want to that they desire. So again, it requires a commitment. So you got to do whatever it takes in order to maintain that. And I always equate that to any type of challenge that you may be having. If it's financial, if you want to maintain financial freedom, you want to make sure that you're checking in on a regular basis in terms of your spending. So again, it requires a commitment to do that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
You gotta sort that drawer out. Is that what
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you said that because that's the other
Everyone's
thing.
got one.
Everybody's got one. And so I'm glad you said that because that is the other thing that I have found in working with clients is that they want to tackle the whole thing. So like they may come to me and say, "Yeah, I just want to declutter and get my whole house organized and they want this done in a week." It took you longer to get there, so it's going to take you long to get out. But a lot of people, they watch these reality shows, about decluttering and getting organized and things like that, not realizing there's a commitment to that. And in those shows, they have a team that comes in, and voila, at the end of 30 minutes, you have an organized home. But it took a lot in between that time to get there. Yeah.
What are the most common things that people tend to hold on to? Is it clothing?
So it depends because I have a client that buys a lot of shoes. So we were having a session and she discovered she had bought another pair of shoes, the exact same pair of boots. She had bought another pair because she couldn't find the original pair. So it just depends. Sometimes it's clothes, sometimes it's paper. Believe it or not, I know that a lot of people want to go to this paperless society, and but a lot of people hold on to a lot of paper. And those that I've worked with, those are probably because they're mostly female entrepreneurs. Those are probably the two areas that I see that people hold on to a lot. Now, the other thing I have started to see is digital clutter, where we hold on to a lot of PDF files, we
Ah,
hold on to a lot of music files or videos or whatever. We have a lot of digital clutter. When we look at our desktop, there's a lot of icons there. And so
oh,
yeah, I'm going to go back and listen to
definitely.
that
Oh, I need
podcast.
to declutter my laptop. Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Totally relate to that. And then I can look at clothing, I think, because I put on a lot of weight in lockdown, and I'm like, I'm not buying any new clothes in this site. I will wait till I'm back to there.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff
Yeah.
is, am I really going to get back to there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that one.
It's really,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
every so often I will have right, oh, come on, I'm never wearing that again. But
Exactly.
I think there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
And there's actually more than one drawer. There's actually two drawers.
yeah, and you just do it one at a time because
Yes.
when you conquer that, it will motivate you and give you some momentum because and you may go back and look at it often or take a picture like I really like that. So let me try this one. So just one thing after another starts to stack.
Right.
And that's a good thing because you gain some momentum that way when you stack your organizing endeavors. And so what I see people happening is that they want to take on the whole project all at once, and that's where the overwhelm comes in because they don't know where to start. So
Or they
that's what I see a
start
lot.
and think, why did I start this? Because then
Yes.
all of a sudden, I could be a little bit like that. I am a bit of an all or nothing kind of person
Yeah.
quite often.
Yeah.
And then you can get unstuck because you think, ah,
Yeah.
now I've got to finish because it's a
I've got to finish.
complete mess.
Yes.
Why do we put so much pressure on ourselves? Why?
Oh, I don't know. I wish I could answer that one. I don't have an answer for that one.
We are our own worst enemy. We put way too
Absolutely.
much pressure on ourselves
We
and then we'll
do.
feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So you've shared with us one success story of somebody doing really well in business after it. But how else have you seen it affect people's lives and business?
Yeah. Another client has actually, we're still in the process. So we're still in her decluttering process because she wants to declutter her entire home. So we do get in, we have weekly sessions. And, but what I have seen from that is that it really, that momentum that you get, and it was from the 5 day challenge. So that momentum that you get, you start to want more clarity in other areas of your life. And so, and I know I use the word clarity a lot, but clarity is so important. I don't think people realize, maybe people can't put a number on clarity. Maybe there's not a number
It's
associated
because
with
it's an
it.
intangible, but I agree. I
Yeah.
think it's massively underestimated.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, nobody wants to feel overwhelmed. It definitely keeps people stuck.
Yeah.
People will procrastinate because, but
Yeah.
when you're clear on something, you just get the
Yeah.
job done.
Yeah.
It's
And
as simple as that.
yeah. And I think people see, as you were saying that, I remembered another client that I had, and this was some years ago. Her and her husband, I went in, and this is when I used to go to clients' homes. And so I went in, had them to leave the house. And when they came back, she just completely broke down into tears because she didn't know that the potential was there. So I think potential is another thing that people don't realize until they see that space and that environment clutter free and organized, then they can see the potential. And so she just completely broke down because she could not, she just never saw it. And so for me, I was like, I didn't expect that reaction. But to me, it just really helped me to understand how significant it is in a person's life when they can see the potential of their space, the potential of it just opens up the airways. And so I think that was another significant, and that was early on in my organizing endeavors that I saw that and I was like, okay, I think I'm on to something here. This is really life change. It's a transformation that they did not even realize was possible. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's
I would have thought a lot of people just wouldn't give it a second thought. They wouldn't be aware that actually maybe that's the one thing that's holding them back from certain things.
yeah,
And on all, how else do you think it affects people? Talked about business, but it's going to affect in all other areas of life, isn't
all
it?
other areas. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you walk into your space and everything is in its place, imagine how much time you save because you're no longer looking for stuff because it's misplaced. You know exactly where it is when you're looking for even if it's your keys. If it's in the same place, all the time, you don't have to think about where it is. But when your whole space is like that and there's order, it just brings about a fresh perspective on things. Your outlook changes. And so that's really what I see. And it's like you said, those things that may not feel tangible, but in the long run, you there's so much potential, so many possibilities, and
Mm.
that you really can't put a number on. Or yeah,
Yeah,
does that make
sure.
sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
I wish my daughter would listen.
Yeah.
I go in there and I think, how can you find anything?
Anything.
Anything like,
Yeah.
ah, No, I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah. Right. And I think for me too, I think age, my as I've gotten older, it's more important to me. Saving time is way more important to me now than it was back then. So maybe, your daughter will come to that realization.
Eventually, eventually. Mind you, no, and I can't claim to be, and I'm not the ultra tidy one either. I can be very all over the place, and I do get it makes sense to me because yeah, actually today is clear because I did have a clear out the other day, but I can see some wires over there. So now that's really bothering me.
That
I'm like,
usually that usually happens when I'm having a conversation with someone. Is
yeah,
like,
you start. Oh
yeah,
no, that side is a little bit.
yeah, exactly. That does happen in conversations. Yeah.
And so that just goes to show that subconsciously it is having an effect on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when you are aware of it, and that's because otherwise, why would I be bothered? Be like, leave
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. But,
So
yeah.
who do you help? How do you find out where these people that need help are going to be? It's quite a different niche that you've got there. So how do
Yeah.
you find your clients?
So I connect with a lot of solopreneurs, female entrepreneurs that's running their businesses. And I think the main thing that has really helped is because when you're in the online space, that it's another level of clutter challenges, right? Because there's a lot of distractions, so you have to find a way to manage the distractions and the noise and the avoiding the shiny objects. So in addition to helping them with their clutter in their lives, I help them with their clutter in their businesses by helping them to streamline some of their operations, right? So it may be maybe you need to work on your onboarding process. You're all over the place. You now have a client and you don't know what the next step is. And so I find that to be very, very challenging for a lot of people who maybe they've worked offline, but now they're entering this online space and it's,
It's a different.
yeah, it's different. It's different. And so I spend a lot of time online. I have networking events that bring people to my space and my virtual space. I do a lot of different events, online events, like the Clutter Free Challenge. I do master classes and things like that. When they see that and they see that out there and it speaks to them, I get
Yeah,
people
sure.
that want to engage. And yeah.
So tell us about this 5-day challenge that you run.
So the 5 day challenge, so the last 5 day challenge that I did was in March. And so I decided, because I was doing them monthly. And so now I'm doing them, I decided to do them quarterly. And in between, I do master classes. So the 5 day challenge, I teach them how to start small, start with one place, one area that they're going to focus on. And then we go through the 5 days focusing on the areas of and decluttering the areas and assessing the areas and looking at, okay, how is this speaking to me, or what is it that I'm frustrated about, and just so many things that I try to get them to think about before they tackle that area. Because most people, what they want to do is they want to get the whole thing done and they don't want to go through the decluttering aspect of it that helps them to deal with the emotional stuff and sometimes the trauma. So we go through a 5 step process that helps them at the end of 5 days. They have decluttered and organized one area. So I try to keep them focused on one area. It may be a closet, it may be a drawer, like you were saying, and they see the potential then after the 5 days, because 5 days on one small area of focus is enough to help give you the inspiration and the motivation. And it's like I was saying, you're stacking those wins. So I got that drawer done. So now maybe I can tackle that file cabinet, or maybe I could just one file. So it's just helping them go through this a slow process, and then get to the organizing part, where because that's where everybody wants to get. They want to go to the container store, and they want to go to Target or whatever and get all of these nice little containers so they can be organized. That's what they want to do first.
Yeah, get rid of
So
the get
yeah.
rid of stuff. So what stuff would be out of bounds? If I think, I don't know, I've got a ton of books some that I haven't read and that have been left, and I tend to, I'm an Audible person now. Am I going to
Mhm.
read another book? And you think, oh, I don't know, I might read it.
I must say that would be a hard one because I love books. And because I like the feel of the paper, but I also like Audible. I like to listen to books as well. So for me, I like the audio and the paper version. And
But if you've read a book, if you've already read it, even though you should read books more often, what would you say to people to declutter them or not?
I would say that, and I got to tell you, it's difficult because that's a big challenge for me. But I would
Explain.
say, yeah, I would probably say, which one do you really think you're going to go back to?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
think I could clear some out.
yeah. So if you don't think you're going to go, if that book is sitting on the shelf, how can it be more useful to someone else? Whether you donate it or what have you, because a lot of the books that I have, they're dog-eared, they're
Yeah, some of
highlighted,
mine are. Yeah, no one's going to be having that book. Now, mind you,
exactly.
those ones are the ones you're not going to get rid of
Yeah,
either.
yeah. And then there's some people that hold on to like textbooks and things like that. I would say donate that to a library or a shelter, or somewhere where someone is going to perhaps get more use or better
Yeah,
use out of it. So if you're not going to use it, and you know you're not, and you're just actually fooling yourself that you will, and you get more out of the audio experience, then I would say definitely go through them and don't throw them away. Just see if
give them
someone else.
away.
Yeah, give them
Pass them
away.
on.
Yeah.
It's energy, isn't it? If
Absolutely.
you're hoarding stuff, there's
It's
energy is
yeah.
not flowing, it's getting blocked. It does
Hmm.
make sense to have a clear out. And actually, you have made me think, okay, I'm looking
Yeah.
at other areas and thinking, there's an old PlayStation there, and there's one that we
Oh,
use. There's an old, I don't even know what number. Not that I play games, but the kids do. Nobody's touched that for years. Why
yeah.
is it still there? You've really made me think now.
Yeah. Because it really, you just, like you were talking about energy, people just don't realize how much energy it is sucking up in your life. I was just on a call, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I think it, yeah, I think I was either on a call or I did a post. I can't remember. But anyway, I was asking the question about digital stuff, and like monitors and computers and old laptops and things like that. And a lot of people still have some of their old monitors, some of their old hard drives. They're
Yeah,
saving.
wow.
Yeah. So there's all types of clutter. So you take that to a recycling center, because there's all kind of ways that it can be repurposed, and you don't have to be the one to repurpose it. Give it to
Sure.
the experts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners out there, if they're like me going, hmm.
Mm.
So you do 5-day challenges, you do workshops. How else do you work?
I work with clients one on one if they're in a situation where they want to declutter their business, if they want to streamline their business, if they're unaware of some of the options that's going to free them up in their time and their energy. in terms of their business so that they can focus on the things that only they need to be focused on. There's so many platforms and software, automation, and all that. And I know you, because I'm experiencing you, you have automation in your business.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah, I
yeah,
couldn't do it without it. I'd be
yeah,
overwhelmed. I'd be
yeah,
overwhelmed and stressed, and
yeah,
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 it is funny.
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes tech can help us, and other
yeah.
times tech can be a distraction.
Yes,
There's a
it can.
difference,
Yes, it
isn't there?
can. So I've actually opened up a pilot program, a coaching pilot program to help entrepreneurs, and it's going to be a group coaching program. And I just opened it up, so that's the other way that I can help people as well. And we'll go through all of those type of things like paper clutter, and but also time management, distract, all of the things that impact your productivity as a solopreneur are some of the things that I will be covering in this new coaching program. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for asking
Fantastic.
about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, if you're watching this on YouTube or it's streaming to a social media platform, you'll have the show notes underneath and all of Aldreama's details. But if anybody's just listening in, how do they find you?
Declutterwithdream.com.
Oh, declutter with dream. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. That
Yeah.
works.
And that will take
Okay.
you to all of the things, the events and things like that. But yeah, if you go there, you'll find me there. And
Fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
Cool. So
yeah.
what's next for Aldreama? So now you've got your new coaching program coming out. What have you got what's coming up next?
Ah, I think I have another book in me. I think I have
Oh,
another book in me.
and
Yeah.
so tell
Another
us about
book. Yeah.
about the last one then. Was that your first or have you done others?
I've done others. I've done at least 4 books. Yeah, I've written at least 4 books on organizing and systems. That's the one that I think is going to be my next one in terms of systems and things like that. I started it, but I haven't finished it yet. So I think
Wow.
that's going to be, yeah, the next one. And the reason I think that I haven't quite finished it yet is because I like to get feedback from other people first, what their challenges are. So I want the book to speak to them before I start diving into a book and creating this whole new thing. I want to hear what they're, because sometimes it changes. Everything changes so rapidly. The world is changing. Now we have AI, not, and that we know that hasn't just started. Now it's
No,
just everybody else,
it's
it's,
mainstream now.
it's
That's all.
mainstream now.
Mm.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's going to be more about systems and processes and things like that because I really do love working with people who want to do that. So there's another book coming. Yeah.
Fantastic. So and how can people get hold of your other books? Are they on your website?
Yes, actually they are on on my website. So if you go to organizedpreneur.com,
Oh, ah,
yeah, there will be a link there where they can find some of the other books that I've written. Organizedpreneur, organized edpreneur, yeah,
fantastic.
.com. They'll find it. They'll find it.
Fantastic. Look, thank you so much for your time today. You give
You.
me a lot of food for thought now. I'm like all of a sudden I'm thinking, hang on, I did a complete clear out today and then the other day, and then now I'm thinking,
Hmm.
was it?
I
Was
want
it
to
so
see
much of a
I want
clear
to see
out?
your progress too.
Ah,
So
yes, there's a few things here
yeah.
really and yeah, you are, it does. When I'm not feeling great, I leave things and I can get into them. It does have an effect on
Yes.
your emotions. And then of course it's going to have a knock on. It's all the same. It's all energy, isn't it?
Mhm.
When we're in a low vibration,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're not very productive. We're not creative. We're not,
Mhm.
and a lot of people think, oh, what's that got? It's got a lot to do with it.
It
It's
does.
actually got a lot to do with it
Yeah. Yeah.
because how we feel will have an effect on what we do. And if there's
Absolutely.
a big mess that we're feeling guilty about having, and then like I said, all the, I really should go, but I don't really feel like doing it. All that is wasted energy, isn't it?
Absolutely. You said it. I couldn't say it any better.
It's just, we're funny creatures, aren't
we? Are. We really are. We really are.
Yeah. We do some funny things that we don't want to do, and then when we do them, we feel guilty. We beat ourselves up over them, and it's this sort of circle. So there you go. Declutter. Get rid of that clutter. Have clarity so that you can move forward. So
absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Aldreama. I'm glad we got you here eventually.
Yes.
You here eventually.
Absolutely.
And to everybody else, I will be back. I will be back tomorrow with a Coffee with Karen. So bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of